In order to minimise the economic costs involved in combating climate change, EU countries have agreed to set up an internal market, enabling companies to trade carbon dioxide pollution permits. The aim of the EU emissions trading scheme is to help EU member states achieve their commitments to limit or reduce greenhouse gas emissions in a cost-effective way. Allowing participating companies to buy or sell emissions allowances means that emission cuts can be achieved at the least cost economically. More than this, the European Commission has a new proposal to review the actual scheme by harmonising the rules and adopting an EU-wide cap on the number of emission allowances instead of 27 national caps. This legislation is being given priority by the Commission, the Parliament and the Council over the next 12 months. Mrs. Avril Doyle was appointed Rapporteur to the new Commission's proposal for a directive on the review of the EU emissions trading scheme of the European Parliament, and she has already outlined her priorities.
The big differences between this proposal, or this review if you like, of ETS, is that no longer will we have national allocation plans, as in there won't be national caps, there will be a single EU cap, and within that there will be sectoral changes. For example, all power stations will be allocated through an auction process, their emission rights. And that is a first, and it is broadly accepted by the power stations, providing there's equity in the auctioning system and in the operating across the 27 member states. Apart from those 2 points, we have to pay particular attention to carbon-intensive industries and ensure we don't have what we call either carbon leakage or problems with competition in this area. If we can get an international agreement, and that is our main objective, is whatever we do in Europe must be part of a global agreement, well then the issues of competition and global leakage diminish considerably.
The Ireland East MEP will draft Parliament's legislative report to improve and extend the EU ETS and promote a low-carbon economy throughout the EU. Avril Doyle agrees that in general the proposal by the European Commission is a good one. However, it requires some fine-tuning on certain issues.
We have major problems with climate change, with global warming, because of the emission of greenhouse gases, mainly carbon dioxide, but not only carbon dioxide, for the last couple of decades particularly. But for the last half century, we in Europe and the West have modernised our economies by emitting tons of carbon per annum and per head into the atmosphere as we built our economies and as we modernised our economies. Now we know, with the wisdom of hindsight, the damage we have done to our atmosphere and to the fact that we can no longer absorb all of this carbon that's being emitted into the atmosphere, and that in itself is having an effect on global warming. We all have a target. It's been agreed at UN level, the target of maximising the global temperature increase to 2 degrees centigrade above, if you like, the industrial revolution temperatures. We're already well down that road, and that is a very ambitious target because we've talked for so long and taken such time before we're acting. So time is of the essence. It's in everyone's interest now. Globally, it's in everyone's interest that we reduce carbon emissions drastically, at least by 20% by 2020 in Europe. But if we get the international agreement, which is our #1 priority, if we get that around the table in Copenhagen, we will go for a 30% decrease by 2020.
Avril Doyle's report will form a directive on the revision of the EU emissions trading system, the aim of which is to help EU member states achieve their commitments to limit or reduce greenhouse gas emissions in a cost-effective way post-Kyoto.
I hope we will have our package ready for Copenhagen in December 2009. That effectively means that the work we're doing on the energy and climate change package, my report is one of 4 reports in that, will be concluded, the package will be concluded by this December. A tight timetable, an ambitious timetable, but an achievable timetable.
Avril Doyle will present the first draft of her report to the Environment, Public Health and Food Safety Committee in early June.